What do you do when you have a couple of portable power stations that have enough capacity to channel solar power to run the house, and, cutting back to a bare minimum, even back it up for a couple of days during a power outage, but there's a delay in putting the solar panels on the roof to feed them? Let me show you what we've done. Welcome to Bear It Works. We have two EcoFlow Delta Pro portable power stations, the original versions, and two EcoFlow Smart Batteries to go with them, one for each. Think of them as 100-pound rolling suitcase-like devices that contain an inverter and 3.6 kilowatt hours of lithium iron phosphate batteries together in one package, or just batteries in the case of the extra battery devices. And yes, there is a pull-out handle, like with rolling suitcases, so the analogy is apt. These give us 14.4 kilowatt hours of storage that can then be run together or broken up into two separate systems. But the panels to charge them, a planned total of 3.84 kilowatt DC, split into two independent 6-panel 3S 2P arrays on the roof, aren't here yet. So I bought two cheap 200-watt panels, small enough to move by hand, and we've been using them in the front yard, shifting them around and capturing what sun we can. Before I talk about what we've been able to actually produce and how it's worked out integrating this into our household, I'm going to show a problem we solved for these panels with a little 3D design and printing to make it more comfortable moving them around and setting them up on the ground. For that, we're going to go back in time to a bit of video we shot over a year ago when we first put custom printed hand grips and feet on the panels. If you don't care about the 3D parts, you can jump ahead to this chapter and cut to the power generation results. The sun's up high enough to get the solar panels out into the sun. But the main activity this morning is to install the new, let's call them handles. But as I move these panels around, I pick them up here from the back of their frame, and it's a sharp edge. It's no fun carrying them. So what I've done for quite a while is had foam in there. Those are getting replaced with these printed parts. And assuming I've done the math correctly, so the math's fine. So that plastic, the round surface, makes it so that my fingers don't go up under there and have this sharp edge cut. And there are 3 for each panel. Let's hear it for accurate part design and printing. The foam worked well enough. It's been in use for well over a year, but they had a tendency to fall out now and then. Two-handed, one-handed, and no pain. And then in an hour or two, I will move them again. They're already wired up. They're on the switch, and I'll have about 300 watts going to the inverter. If I move these in the sun all day, they provide 1/10 of what we use on average in the house. The first I'm going to show you is not in the video. Got a still image of it. Very simple. Create an extrusion and a cutout. So the sketch had an oval cutout in it. Extrude that, sketch down below and extrude that, sketch down below and extrude that. This is the profile for the aluminum extrusion for the frame that the solar panel is built with. And so you imagine this just extending off to the full width of the solar panel. I have no need to do that in this model because I'm just making something to fit this. So I went and carefully measured the dimensions of that extrusion and then recreated it, creating a part to fit around it. Very simple. I just then created this sketch off the end of it. And then when you extrude that, there is this circular form-fitting foot that will allow the solar panel, and it sits on concrete sometimes, to not be grinding on the aluminum frame. There's really not much more to this design except that I created a hole for the bolt and then created a block which has a matching hole or a heat insert. So a threaded insert goes into this piece. So this just becomes a mounting, it's like a big nut. and it has an extrusion that fits into the whole long aluminum extrusion. This light gray piece slides over, snaps over the bottom of the frame. This piece gets set inside the frame. It already has a threaded insert in it, and then a bolt goes through to attach it. Pretty straightforward. Now, the companion part is much simpler. Just the outline of the hand grip that I wanted to create, extrude it, give it a hole for a heat insert, and then there's a bit of fillet to go on the bottom of it. And I repositioned the hole. I did some more measuring and realized I was off by a bit. That's where the heat insert will go. This gets printed 6 times, 3 for each panel, and that's the whole design. The handles and panel feet went on at the end of winter 2025. It's now summer 2026, and unfortunately, we are still using the stopgap approach, moving these 2 panels around in the course of each sunny day, changing their placement and angle on their adjustable aluminum legs to match the sun, and then putting them away at night, necessary in this HOA-governed community. By the way, I didn't mention the folding legs we use. They are Renogy 28-inch adjustable solar panel mount brackets, which I've modified to use T-track, and a knurled knob so they can easily adjust to any angle or fold the legs away. Last fall, we did come close to getting the full array up on the roof, having finally found a contractor who would do this somewhat DIY install, but it didn't quite happen. So, for now, we continue to capture, on the very best of days, when the furnace and air conditioning is not in use, up to 13% of our 24-hour power usage with the same 2 now aging 200-watt panels. We don't bother putting them out during the winter months, as we don't get enough direct sunlight on our front yard then, but during the spring, summer, and fall we use them. The handles and feet we showed are pretty basic, maybe even trivial, but the difference they made as we move the panels a couple of times a day has been substantial. It is a simple solution that has helped make that job more comfortable, even bordering unpleasant. So, how are we actually doing on aggregate in terms of power? I log our total daily electricity consumption from both the panels and the grid combined in a spreadsheet. I separate out the production from just the panels, and I apply an adjustment for inverter loss. With over a year of real data now, I thought I knew where we stood. Then this brutal summer happened. We've been running our air conditioning more than we have ever before, even during the night, which is nearly a first for us, and have seen a number of days with more than double our normal power consumption. On a few instances, our daily power use has gone to just over 50 kilowatt hours from our normal 16 to 18 per day. Add to that some additional restrictions we've encountered related to the HOA and where we can place the panels, and we have dropped to an average figure for the days we put the panels out of just 6.4% of the power we use on those days, or a 5% total if I include the days we don't put the panels out as well, which is perhaps a more appropriate figure. So, no longer the 10% from the initial test I mentioned in last year's portion of this video, half of that in fact. A few more details about the system. The Delta Pros and extra batteries are controlled and linked to our home electrical panel via EcoFlow's Smart Home Panel, the first version. I can monitor and control all of this from a phone app or from my computer, as well as monitor from 2 remote displays in the kitchen. We run 1 set at a time, so 1 Delta Pro and 1 connected battery, to avoid doubling inverter loss for no reason, receiving power from the panels and powering most of the house during the day. Then top that set off from the grid at night if necessary, switch to the other set the next day and repeat, unless it's heavy overcast or raining, in which case the panels don't produce enough voltage to trigger charging and I don't bother to put them out. Splitting these into sets and switching back and forth also keeps 1 set always full in reserve for a power outage or for sharing with family or friends when they might need temporary portable power. On all normal days, I only charge them to 85% and only run them down to 15% to increase their longevity. The panels are a relatively low-cost JJN 200-watt bifacial panels, now going on their 3rd year. So this 5% of our total power does come with some inconvenience. We do feel like we are working for it a bit, but we've decided it's worth it for now. The rooftop array, when we get it installed, will change things substantially. At that point, we'll be able to turn the whole system on and leave it, most days, running automatically with preset automations, which is going to feel like the lap of luxury. With the exception of the 2 240-volt appliances in the house, it should supply 100% of our power. we can't wait. Well, actually, we can, which is what this entire video is about. So for now, we are a 5% solar household. As I said before, better than nothing. If you haven't yet, please hit subscribe and like this video if you did, and we'll catch you next time.